You will forever remain dirty. Forever. Zandora, you are so pathetic. Gosh. How? So when you're done, come to our knees. And we also need a massage. I refuse to be your slave. You want a massage? Do it yourself. Stop! I refuse.
This is not our regular Cinderella story because Zandura is not Cinderella's type. Zandura was everything parents wished to see in their child, but unfortunately for her, she had none. It was not always this harsh for Zandura. Well, let me give you a quick backstory. 5-year-old Zandura giggled as she happily asked her mom. Her mom quickly served her more stew. They were having a family dinner. Zandura's family was still one big family at that time, filled with love, peace, and joy. Her mom was a stylist, and her dad was a wealthy businessman in the village. Her mom and her dad loved her so much. Zandura was their sunshine. But everything turned upside down when Zandura's mother became severely sick. She was down with cancer. It was too late before it was diagnosed. They could not do anything other than to share the remaining months she had left as their memory. Zandura came every day to read stories to her. Zandura's father was one of the wealthiest farmers in the village back then. He did all he could, but the sickness was too critical. They all prayed for a miracle, hoped that everything would be fine, but she still died. Zandura was devastated. She never thought life could be so tough and harsh. It sadly became 2 years since Zandura's mother passed, so her dad decided to remarry because he needed someone to take care of Zandura. One day, on his way to another village, he met a woman and asked for directions, who apparently he fell in love with. Susanna was the name of the lady. Susanna, who already had 2 daughters, whose names were Erewa and Tarila. Erewa was the eldest. She was 4 years old, while Tarila was 2 years old. Life was good again, ephemerally. Few years later, Zandura's father died due to an unknown sickness. Her world shattered. Life can be unfair. Yes, this is the backstory. From that incident, Zandura became their slave. Susanna inherited all her father's wealth. It seemed like they anticipated or perpetuated his death. But who would know? Nobody. Every day, Zandura would go to her parents' grave and sob her eyes out. She was tired of life. She was tired of being pushed around like a puppet. Even in all of this, Zandura was still the prettiest in the whole village. The level of her beauty could not be rivaled. Was it her graceful figure, her long black silk hair, her eyes that was very pretty, her manners? She was an epitome of beauty. This very reason brought more hatred for her. The 2 stepsisters hated Zandura's guts. They believed she was pretending. Moreover, Zandura was way prettier than them. So they vowed to make life unbearable for Zandura. One early morning, as Zandura hurriedly woke up to start house chores, she washed every nook and cranny of their building. She washed their clothes, trimmed the flowers, she mopped, she cried, also laughed as she fed the animals. When she was done, she hurriedly went to her stepmother's room to ask for permission to go to the market to sell the chickens that were matured. If there was one thing at all Zandura liked, it was seeing the animals she had nurtured. After she was permitted, she quickly proceeded to the market. When she got there, she set up her umbrella and sat on the bench as she waited for customers to come by. The chickens looked fat and robust. One could really tell a lot of care was given to the chickens. After she had sold some minutes later, A very handsome young man came to buy. The man looked breathtaking. He was very handsome, in his purple long sleeve, tucked in his trousers. Zandora could not take her eyes off him. "Hi," the man said with his deep-toned voice. His name was Henry.
Hi.
Zandora replied with a melodious voice. That very minute, there was a very magical connection. It sparked with butterflies in her tummy. She could not explain it. They chatted for a while before he paid for the chickens and proceeded to get more stops inside the market. When Harry was done, he hurriedly came back because he forgot to ask Zandora what was her name and probably even guess her number. But when he got there, Zandora was long gone. He was really pained, but he felt something in him that assured him that he was going to see her again. Harry went home. He was coming from a very long journey. Unknown to everyone, he was the crown prince of the land. The villagers and even Zandora could not even recognize him because it has been long since he traveled. When Harry got to the palace, the royal household was filled with excitement. The king and the queen were flabbergasted to how Henry had grown since his last trip. An urgent royal ball was going to be made to celebrate the arrival of the prince. Each and every household were given an invitation letter to attend. The entire village were invited and they could not wait. Susanna and her daughters were very excited to attend the royal ball. Likewise other families. They danced on the day they got their invitation. What made it more spectacular was that the crown prince and other princes, even from different neighboring villages, would be choosing their brides through the ceremony. All the maidens were expected to look their very best. The maidens sprung into preparation, each and every one preparing to look most magnificent on that day. Everywhere was filled with the news. The royal ball was the talk of the town. Maidens in the market buying expensive fabrics and ornaments to look ravishing. They could not stop talking about the royal ball. The maidens bought the most expensive items. On the other hand, there was Zandora, hopeless. She had nothing. She had no clothes, only the tattered maid dress on her body. There was no way she was going to use that. She wouldn't even be allowed to enter the venue. She became pensive as she sat on a mat and thought on how to get a new dress. She didn't have the money to get a new one. The money she saved wouldn't be enough. She has been collecting money from the stuff she sold in the market, but it was still little. There was no way this opportunity was slipping through her fingers. I must go, either by crook or by hook. Zandora mustered with every confidence she had left. She cried, wishing life could be different. Before she could come out of her thoughts, the most frequent name ever called in the universe was heard.
Zandora.
Her stepmother and her stepsisters yelled her name in unison. Zandora hurriedly went before she would be starved again for another 1 week. She was fine with the 1 meal she had once in 3 days, but though she usually ate some after she was done cooking, there was no way one could survive with that little meal, with all those demanding tasks one did. Zandora was smart for that. She never deprived her stomach. When Zandora got there, before she could blink an eye, she was covered in a heap of stinking clothes, worn by the 2 sisters. The clothes were much.
Zandora, go and wash this clothes. I don't want to see him stain.
Irewa said, snapping her fingers in authority.
And Zandora, when you're done, go and wash the staircase.
Susanna wickedly added,
But I already did.
Zandora said tearfully, trying to speak.
Mop it again.
Susanna yelled with wickedness. Zandora angrily walked out, but was called back by Tirela.
Zandora, when you're done, come and clean my nails. And I also want a foot massage, and that's on period. Clock it.
This moment vexed Zandora. If only tables could take turns. Zandora had this urge to slap the soul out of Tirela, but she couldn't. It was a case of 3 against 1. Okay, she replied before she left, while carrying the heap of clothes on her head. She washed for over 5 hours before she was done. The next day, Zandora resumed her duties as she happily sang and fed the fat chickens. This was her safe haven. She loved the chickens so much, to the extent that she went as far as giving them names.
Chichi, it's your food.
Zandora jokingly said as she sat on the floor and laughed as she watched them happily eat.
Rebecca, drink water. You've eaten enough.
She laughed as she took them inside. As soon as she was done, she headed for the kitchen to mop the floor, but she was interrupted. Immediately she entered the house, a bunch of ugly, stinky clothes drenched on her. As usual, there were the two sisters.
Zandura, take these clothes, burn them. My daughter won't be needing them anymore. They will be ruined.
Susanna
soon.
proudly exclaimed.
And that's in period. Clackets.
Irewa and Tarela said in unison as they laughed and both ran out like two peacocks. Zandora instantly took the clothes and decided to go burn them as instructed. When she got to where she would burn them, a thought came to her mind.
This is what Cinderella would do. What will Zandora do?
Zandora quickly came to the epiphany as she said to herself,
I am not Cinderella.
Zandora stylishly took the clothes. Instead of burning it, she hid it where no one would see it. She didn't have any clothes to wear to the ball, but her mom was a stylish before she passed. The little experience she had would really be of help. She started preparing bit by bit from the penny money she has been saving. She started buying stuffs like candles, cheap materials, needles, and threads to make the dress come to life. Whenever she wanted to sew the clothes, she would go to the poultry building, and Boza the dog would stay at the door to see if anyone was coming. Zandora took pieces by pieces from different clothes and also from the ones she bought. She took flowers, candles, beads from broken waist beads owned by Irewa and Tarela. They weren't enough, so she used candle wax and reshaped them into beads. She didn't have money to buy expensive ornaments to decorate the sleeves, so she improvised by using the feathers from her chickens, and she used it as airy trims for the sleeves. She took hibiscus petals, locally known as subu flowers, to make glowing flowery velvet prints on the dress. Finally, she turned it into a very pretty gown. She could not believe her eyes. When the gown was made, she looked like a princess in it. She was elated. She quickly hid it where no one would see it. She took her mom's shoe, the only possession she had left of her. The shoe was not glass, it was wooden heels, but she liked it. The most anticipated day for the royal ball finally came, and everybody was eager to see who the prince would choose. The royal ball was commencing at 8 p.m. and it was basically 5:31 p.m. and all the village maidens were ready. These two sisters were more than ready. They looked breathtaking. Even their gowns looked royalty. Zandora was so sad. She didn't stand a chance. Every maiden would be wearing expensive and beautiful gowns. What were the odds that she would even be allowed to enter the venue? She was heartbroken. Immediately, Susanna and her daughters left. Zandora ran to her parents' grave and wailed. She cried her heart out. She didn't wish for this life. Her confidence was gone. Who uses chicken feathers as hems? Zandora thought to herself as she wailed.
Mama, I wish you were here. I have no one.
Zandora cried until she slept. While sleeping, she drifted into a dream. In the dream, she saw her mother, dressed in the way Zandora remembered her, and wiped her tears with the edge of her cloth.
My daughter, can't you see? This is not rags. This is your patience, courage, and this is what royalty
Zandora
is all
shook her head
about.
as she tried to speak. Her mother held Zandora's jaw as she forced her to meet her eyes.
You are enough, my child. Heads up, shoulders straight. Don't beg to belong, because you already do. I love you, my sweet girl.
Before Zandora could utter another word, the dream faded. Zandora woke up, wiped her tears with the back of her hands. She felt this instant confidence. By that time, it was already 7 p.m. in the night, 1 hour to go. She quickly got dressed And oh goodness, Zandora was beautiful. She gently wore the gown not to spoil anything because they won't hold for long. She wore the shoes and hurriedly left. Presently at the royal ball, all the maidens had introduced themselves, but the prince didn't like any of them. But immediately Zandora stepped in. From afar, the prince hurriedly stood up and went straight to her. Everybody was literally astonished. Who was this girl? She looked breathtaking. Zandora was shocked. Her mother was right after all. She danced with the prince, and she indeed put up her best show. It was one in a lifetime opportunity, so she put up her best performance. They talked, and it soon became 11:55 p.m. She had to go home. The dress was becoming something else because of the heat and other stuffs. She was feeling not comfortable because of the itchiness. Prince Henry decided to go get them some drinks. Zandora saw this as an opportunity and she took to her heels. Before the prince could come back, Zandora had gone far. He ordered his guards to chase her. Zandora ran as fast as she could. While running, the heels from one of her shoes broke. She could not run with it, so she had no choice but to pull it. While she was done, she tried to go back and carry the shoe, but it was too late because the guards were closed. She ran until she saw a bush. She hid inside. The guards passed her. She was relieved. She was grateful. At least she wasn't caught. The dress was now looking horrible. The hibiscus flowering prints looked faded. The candle wax had now melted. Some had broken. The dress had even torn due to the feeble sewing with needle and thread, but she was grateful it worked. The next morning soon came, and news spread round the village that the prince was looking for a maiden. The maiden let one leg of her shoe. Anyone who the shoe fitted perfectly was the one. Susanna and her daughters saw this as an opportunity. They quickly sprung into action. They locked Zandora inside the room so that she would not try the shoe. When the royal family arrived, Erewa and Tarila tried it on. They did all they could, but it didn't fit. Their legs were too big. It looked like a man's feet. When they were done, they asked if anyone else was in the house. Susanna disagreed, only for her to see Zandora walking down the stairs. They all froze. How did she come out? Unknown to them, Zandora already had the key to that particular room. That was why she stayed there and pretended like she was doing something. Wow, really not Cinderella's type. Immediately she tried the shoes on. Without stress, it fitted. Everybody was shocked. Susanna and her daughters tried all they could to stop Zandora from going, but it seemed Zandora was faster than them.
Zandora goes nowhere. She belongs to me.
Susanna hid.
I belong to you as well.
Zandora retorted angrily.
She's ours.
Irewa and Tarela hid. Before they could finish their statement, Zandora gave them the slap they never imagined. Their eyes became black instantly. They drifted into misery for some seconds before coming back to reality.
I am done being your slave. I refuse to be that little girl you are maltreated. If I hear a word from you guys again, I swear to God, today will be your last day on earth. Because the rage in me right now, if you guys dare provoke me, you won't be able to see by the time I'm done with you. Good riddance to bad rubbish, unfortunate monsters.
Zandora followed them to the palace. When she saw the prince remembered her. The seller, Prince Henry shouted as they hugged.
I know you'll find me. For the records, my name is Zandora.
A big celebration was fixed for their wedding. They got married and lived happily ever after. Life can be unfair, and most of the time, it feels like no one is coming to help. But truth be told, the strength to change your story often lives inside you. Be courageous, have faith, and take your own steps towards your dreams. Sometimes we do lose hope, I get that, and sometimes we become despondent, but always try to bounce back. Please subscribe, like and share this video. It takes nothing from you, but it means the world to me. Bye guys, till next time.